Hello, everyone. This is Jeff.
And Sweet.
And we just finished watching Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick vlog reaction slash review about it here and just give our feelings on it. The first face reveal for Sweet.
I liked it.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll cover non-spoiler things first, just like general idea of like pacing scenes and whatnot, and then we'll actually like go into spoiler territory. So for now, if you haven't seen it, spoiler free. We'll let you know as soon as we start getting into actual spoilers for it.
Vader dies.
Yes, Vader dies. No. So, very fast-paced movie, very quick. It just keeps going scene to scene to scene.
Yeah.
A lot of action in there. If this is the kind of if you're a kind of person that's like you want more slow motion moments, then this is not movie for you. I mean the Last Jedi had a lot more slow moments in it. It was Force Awakens had a lot more slow moments in it. Freaking Empire Strikes Back was the slowest movie of the whole freaking franchise, I think. It's still amazing, yeah. But no, this is probably the fastest paced Star Wars movie out there, bar none. Like, I absolutely enjoyed the pacing for it. Probably up until the end, where I think the climax went a little bit longer than it needed to go.
Yeah.
Particularly some moments we'll get to. C-3PO, I think, was in his best form.
Yes, he was hilarious.
He's always been a big source of comic relief in all the movies. He's one of the few characters that's in every single main saga movie, and this car is about to back into me. Come on, Virginia. All right, they stopped literally 2 inches from my bumper, and they're off. Yeah, no, C-3PO is one of the few characters that's in every movie. He always pulls comic relief. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think he's in peak performance.
Yeah.
Top 3PO sass.
Yes, very sassy.
You didn't call my name, sir, but I'm okay. Oh man, freaking. Okay. For a second, let's talk about what this movie's not that I've been hearing a lot about. A lot of people say that it's just a nostalgia trip. That it's just a rehash of Star Wars greatest hits.
What?
Yeah, that's my thought. What?
Wait, what?
I definitely see a lot of moments from previous movies, like inspiration wise, a lot of homage moments, but nothing that felt like it was just trying to walk the same walk or talk the same talk at all.
No.
And all the moments that I could pick out were just little snippets.
Yeah. Like
one moment where Rey and Kylo are confronting each other that looks a lot like the Obi-Wan Darth Vader confrontation in A New Hope, where they just kind of circled each other for a moment in a hangar. That looked like it was paying homage, but it was for 5 seconds, and it definitely didn't go anywhere near the same direction.
No.
A lot of people say that it goes out of its way to undo The Last Jedi and things that happened in The Last Jedi. Some things I can see that superficially, like Rey's lineage, Kylo Ren's helmet. But I think all of those were done in a pretty good way. I don't think they halted the brakes and reversed things. I think they used those same moments to develop in another direction.
Right.
So kind of how you're...
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, what else have I been hearing a lot of? That it's terrible, that it's awful, that it's the worst Star Wars movie ever, worse than Attack of the Clones, worse than Phantom Menace.
Oh, hell no.
I mean, quality is always subjective,
Yeah.
matter of opinion, but
Right.
I mean, this is nowhere near I hate sand. It's coarse and dry. Gets no, this is nowhere near that level of bad.
No.
Anybody who's saying that, like, I definitely understand elements of this movie people would be upset by, directions it goes, choices it makes that people wouldn't like. There's definitely moments in there for sure that I didn't like the direction of overall, but like to say it's worse than...
Yeah, that's a little much.
Whoa. Things that this movie is. The first two-thirds, the first two acts, I think play out a lot like a globe-trotting Indiana Jones National Treasure type movie. Where you gotta go clue to clue to clue. Except obviously on a galactic scale.
Right.
Not globe-trotting technically, but you know.
Yeah.
That kind of treasure hunt vibe.
No basketball here.
Yeah, no basketball here. So yeah, that kind of treasure hunt vibe, except the treasure is galactic salvation. And with that, we get to go to a lot of different venues, a lot of different areas. I enjoy seeing all the different locales.
Right. Yeah, they're really developed really well.
I do wish we had maybe a minute or two longer in each one. They do feel a little bit simple in some of them. Like, we get another generic desert planet.
Right.
So that makes, 3, Tatooine, Jakku, and then this other one I don't remember the name of, where they had, Then they end up back on Endor, but it doesn't look anything like the jungles that we saw in Return of the Jedi, which actually I'm very thankful for. Because a planet's more than one biome.
Right.
We get to see some really cool cliffs and ocean for Endor that I like. That I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Like, Tatooine is one big desert. Coruscant is one giant city.
Right.
We get to see that,
different things. Yeah.
the moon of Endor that they went to. Actually, I'll have to double check if it's the same moon that the Ewoks live on. I personally would think so, since that's where the Death Star crashed after it blew up.
Right.
And that moon of Endor was where it was orbiting.
Right.
Endor being, the gas giant, many moons. I'll have to double check, my fact check on that. I might be wrong. So maybe it wasn't more than one biome in the same planet.
Maybe.
Technically not planet, but I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's a moon that supports life.
Right.
It's for all intents and purposes, it's a planet here. But let's got to go to like a lesser developed city on one planet that's kind of like a den of thieves kind of place.
Yeah. That one was cool.
A lot of stonework involved in there, but they had all the droids and spaceports and whatnot. Excuse me. So, I liked that planet for sure. A lot of emotional moments on that one, actually. Character development for Poe in this particular, and 3PO.
Yeah, that was cool.
So, a lot of different places. I mean, this isn't a spoiler. Palpatine plays a huge role in the whole thing. I mean, we knew that going in from the very first 20-second teaser.
Right.
Kind of wish that they did play out him more mysteriously, rather than literally jumping in with the opening crawl saying, "BT dubs, guys, Palpatine's back."
Right.
But
right at the get-go.
Yeah. I mean, the opening scene wouldn't have meant as much then either. But I don't know. Anything else you want to say before we get into spoiler territory?
Not really. Like the action, like some places were a little bit fast paced, but you know it was pretty good. Like seeing all the places and the character development.
Yeah,
all the interactions was really good.
Absolutely. Oh, I will say this on the action. Most of it very good. This is less a complaint about Rise of Skywalker and more just how much I love Last Jedi. But nothing in here even comes close to comparing to the throne room fight in The Last Jedi against Snoke's elite guards.
That one was good.
But okay, so spoilers now. So, real quick synopsis. Opening crawl just straight up says, BT Dubs, Palpatine's back. He sends out a signal announcing to the galaxy, yo dudes, I'm back.
Right.
Kylo Ren is like, F this, I'm in power.
Yeah,
I gotta go find this turd burglar.
Take you out.
So we just get a quick montage of him killing a lot of people to get, it looks a lot like a Sith holocron, but they say it's a Sith star map, which is, and it takes him to a planet in the uncharted regions of the galaxy. Which I always thought that the uncharted regions, it's like a whole fourth of the galaxy that's uncharted.
Right.
So I always thought it could use a lot more action going on there.
Right.
Like a lot more stories could be told, either exploring there or just civilizations that haven't touched on the rest of the galaxy yet.
Right.
I'll lead a little bit more over here. Yeah. So yeah, Kylo finds Palpatine there. He's just straight up like, I'ma kill you so that my power's not threatened by anybody. And Palpatine's like, no you won't, because I can give you anything you want. And I've been spending the last God knows how long here preparing a giant fleet. That fleet that you see in the trailer shots of Star Destroyers.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
It was way bigger.
That was ridiculous.
It was way bigger than the combined Empire fleet at the Battle of Endor.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be the whole Empire's fleet gathered in one spot.
Right. And they just came out of the ground.
Yeah. Oh, the water more. That planet disappointed me a lot, actually.
Yeah, there's not much to it.
There was not much to it. It was just, here's Palpatine's temple. Everything else is water.
Right.
That felt really lazy to me. But a line from Attack of the Clones was reused here by Palpatine. That it's one of the best lines in Attack of the Clones. One of the few really good moments in a really bad movie. The dark side is a path that leads to many powers some would consider to be unnatural. It's this Darth Plagueis the Wise speech about immortality.
Yeah,
Zombie Palpatine, yes. Hooked up to a big machine.
Yeah.
Straight up confirms that he created Snoke, and we get to see visually, he doesn't go into any detail, but we get to see Snoke clones.
Yeah.
In tanks, kind of panning through. I loved that. In the old expanded universe, Palpatine was such a huge proponent of cloning himself. He had 3 different backup clones, which is kind of ridiculous. But I mean, he's the guy who created a clone army to fight his own army to play both sides. So
right.
But yeah. Oh, something else I've heard a lot of people say that on viewing this makes no sense to me, was that Palpatine is shoehorned here. And he doesn't fit, and you could remove him.
Wait, what?
I've just seen that pass along a lot. I'm like, the entire plot is Palpatine.
Right. Okay. Makes no sense.
Makes no sense. So he shows this ginormous fleet, which, as it turns out, every single frickin' one of these Star Destroyers has Death Star technology,
right?
Which came out of nowhere. Honestly, that's one of the points I did not like.
Yeah,
was that now we have a fleet larger than any we've ever seen before. Every single ship is its own mobile Death Star with full Death Star capability.
Yeah. Just with a gun added.
That
on the bottom.
Yeah. I absolutely did not like that whatsoever.
No.
Starkiller Base I loved because it was like an expansion of the Death Star as it's like a whole planet.
Right.
That fed from an actual star to power itself.
Right. Yeah, seriously.
And it fired through hyperspace to attack multiple targets.
Right.
So, I mean, and the terror of Starkiller Base, I think, is one that was underrepresented.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Death Star, you can you can see it coming,
right?
And you're like, oh crap, gotta get out of here.
Right.
Starkiller Base could hit anywhere, anytime, without warning. Done. And now we have a giant fleet of several hundred Star Destroyers that can all blow up planets.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think the giant fleet on its own was enough.
Right.
So yeah, Palpatine just says, only thing I want you to do is kill the girl. And then he says, I know who she really is. We cut back to Rey.
Right.
She's training with the last of the Resistance, training under Leia. Trying to reach the Force ghosts of Jedi and not being successful at it.
Mm-hmm.
While this is going on, Finn, Poe, and Chewie have got the Millennium Falcon, and they receive a message from a spy in the First Order that confirms what they should really already know, that Palpatine is real, because I don't know why that's...
Right.
They had to have that confirmed. He broadcast the message himself saying, I'm back.
Right.
That...
fake news.
Fake news, yeah. Fake news! It's just the First Order propaganda.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing that does confirm that is important is letting them know that, holy crap, there's a giant fleet that Palpatine provided Kylo Ren with. That's gonna decimate the
Right.
bad of things. And I called who the traitor was. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was General Hux.
Right.
General Hux is one of my favorite characters in the whole freaking Star Wars saga.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for one, I love that he's a Weasley twin.
Right.
The speech he gave at Starkiller Base still resonates with me. I love that speech. That he has such a rivalry with Kylo Ren and hates his guts. I even called the reason why he was the traitor. He was like, when they find out he's the one, he's like, I don't care if you win. I just want Kylo to lose. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's unceremoniously shot.
Yeah. That was kind of anticlimactic.
That was very anticlimactic. That's another one of my gripes. Yeah. I love Hux, and I think that was really underused there.
Right.
I think it would have been much better if he were able to stay as a plant, or if he was forced to defect.
Right.
But yeah, this movie was already so jam-packed with so much.
Mm-hmm.
They probably just wanted to just kill him off so that it wasn't a loose plot thread hanging in an already extremely long movie.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, they have to just they have to figure out how they can get to this planet that in the uncharted regions that Palpatine's at, sitting there with his cool fleet.
Mm-hmm.
And they are following a map trail left by Luke in the old Jedi texts before he just gave up on life and went to live on the first Jedi planet.
Right.
So yeah, from there that's where we start getting our like I said, national treasure, Indiana Jones kind of globetrotting treasure hunt situation where first they got the map there. They go to the last place that Luke left off, which was a desert planet where they had a really cool festival going on.
Yeah.
I liked the festival.
Right.
I like seeing more culture and more
different type of aliens and stuff.
Yeah. 3PO was great there. He's describing the festival to everybody, and you know, in true Star Wars fashion, no one cares about 3PO has to say. Meet Lando there, who saves them from a First Order soldier, and he was wearing a ridiculous getup at first to disguise, I guess.
Yeah.
The only reason I can think of that they put him in that was just for the shock value of when he takes the helmet off and like, oh, it's Lando!
Yeah, seriously.
Other than that, I think it totally could have just been he shoots the stormtrooper, they look over, there's Lando, he says, get over here.
Right.
I think that would have been more impactful.
Right. I guess maybe stormtroopers are looking for him too, maybe.
Yeah, he's a general of the... So yeah, that makes sense, but not as impactful in my mind.
Right.
They find the trail that Luke was trying to go towards, a ship of, I don't know if it was a mercenary bounty hunter, somebody who was under Palpatine's direct employ, who's supposed to have the other Sith navigation unit. They find his ship lost out in the desert, fall into some black quicksand that you think you could easily avoid because the rest of the desert is brown.
Right. Well, their rider exploded, so they landed in it.
They were chased by the First Order. Their speeders exploded. They were tossed into it. Yeah, I'm just saying under normal circumstances you'd expect.
Right.
Because
like how'd the other guy do?
How'd the other guy fall in there?
Right. Yeah.
The owner of the ship that they're looking for, he fell in there. He's been long dead.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, how did he fall in there? Like, no one was chasing him. He wasn't, as far as we know. Like,
right. His speeder's just underground.
Yeah, he just, and the speeders float.
Yeah.
So,
how does that work?
How did some moments kind of make you think for a second.
Right.
While they're down there, you know, 3PO's getting off some great singers. That's they find the remains of this guy, and they find that he's got a knife on him. And the knife's got an inscription in the original Sith language from back when the Sith weren't an organization or an ideal, but a species. And I love that. I love it. But they're underground because that quicksand thing just like dumped them in a little tunnel system made by a giant worm. Here we get I'm pretty sure this is a major point of contention for some people, the force healing. There's some people that I read, like I avoided spoilers as much as I could. Some things just, you know, you can't get away from. But I did know some people were very upset about the whole, like, they brought force healing into the mix, and some people are just like, that's not how the force works. When force healing's used in the expanded universe material, this is what happens. And other people are like, you're just making up force powers now. Like, you know what? Just let them do what they're doing.
Right.
The old EU doesn't... Now, if you love it, good on you. I do too. But this is an entirely different thing now.
Right.
But I love that they're bringing EU-only powers now into the movies. We got the healing. We got the life drain. Oh, and the way that the First Order found them, this was a brand new force power just kind of brought about out of nowhere that I find very questionable.
Yeah. The whole
I'm pretty sure it's unique just to Rey and Kylo because of the bond that was forged for them.
Right.
First by Snoke, that they just kept going and created to be stronger.
Right.
But like, so the way that Kylo found out where they were to go to this desert planet was that he connected and visioned with her like they do in The Last Jedi. And instead of they still see their normal surroundings, but he's able to actually interact with her physically. So he takes a necklace that a local gave her at the festival, and that was their clue to figure out where they were.
Right.
And this new power just kind of seems to come out of nowhere. It's never explained. It's never really given any thought, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, force powers come out of nowhere a lot in Star Wars, and that's always been the case.
Yeah.
New Hope, all we got for force powers was general, like, extrasensory perception. The mind trick with the stormtrooper early on, and Vader's force choke.
Right.
Which he only used one time on a general who was mouthing off to him and straight up telling him he didn't believe in Vader's dead religion.
Right.
So, I mean, that guy had it coming, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't believe in the Force here?
Yeah, let me show you.
So, I mean, that's all we got really in the first movie, and it was more about the spiritual connection to the universe at large. Empire comes around, we get visions, we get the telekinesis, we get the super jumps and more the physical aspect as Luke is training, and then all of the telekinesis whirlwind stuff going on in the final battle at Cloud City. Then of course Return of the Jedi is the where we got lightning for the first time.
Right.
So I'm saying new force powers come out of the woodworks all the time, and I'm okay with it 99% of the time.
Right.
This one really feels like that's not how the Force works.
Yeah.
Where suddenly they
like hacks.
Right? Yeah, that's hacks. Like, now they just connect on a vision, but the vision's physical, so what? I don't know.
Yeah.
That bothered me. But seeing the locale, the kids laughing at the festival, that was a lot of fun. Some bits about Rey not knowing her family lineage came up at that moment. We get, and that's all well and good. That sets up more. We go into Chewie gets captured while they're after they find the dagger and they're about to leave. They can't go back to the Falcon because they've been compromised. They got to take the dead guy's ship.
Right.
Chewie gets captured while Kylo is distracting Rey. And in the
whole power.
Yeah, in the whole power struggle, she accidentally shoots lightning and like frickin' shocks herself mentally, I mean.
Right.
Poor phrasing on my part.
Yeah. Surprised.
Yeah, surprised herself and destroyed the ship she was trying to keep from going away, the prison transport that she thought Chewie was on. Spoilers, she's not on there, but they were made to think that she just killed Chewie.
Yeah.
Which
figured as much, though. There's two of them, so.
Yeah, there was two ships. The Knights of Ren, they're brought up in The Force Awakens and just said that they're a group that Kylo trained personally as his own elite group. They didn't show up at all in The Last Jedi.
No.
So they were mentioned, and we kind of see them in a vision of the past. Then they're nowhere to be seen. Now they're here in Rise of Skywalker. We actually see them. They're active. They're doing stuff. No one says anything. No one does anything meaningful. They just kind of act as Kylo's personal henchmen for probably 15 minutes of screen time total among all of them.
Yeah.
And then he personally kills them all when they choose to side with Palpatine over him.
Yeah, at the end.
At the end there. So that also felt like a waste to me.
Right.
They all had unique designs, unique weapons. I would have thought they'd go with the guy who trained them, founded their group, everything, but I guess they drank the Palpatine Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, they captured Chewie, got away. We think Chewie's killed. He's not. He's just in prison. Cool.
Yeah. He had the dagger.
Yeah, he had the dagger. 3PO read the dagger, but his programming doesn't allow him to translate Sith text. That plot point felt weird to me. Like, it's not that the words don't translate into Galactic Basic. Like, it's not like they didn't have an equivalency. It did. He just wasn't allowed to speak it. Right. Which is because his programming forbid him from forbidden languages.
And if he did, his memory would be wiped.
Yep. So that led us to our next thing. So they figured, we know the information. It's just in 3PO's CPU or hardboard or whatever. It's late at this point. And I've been rambling for 32 minutes. Yeah. They go to this other planet, the one that's like kind of like stone structure, but still got technology, where Poe is like, I know someone who can help, a black market droid guy. And they go there. Turns out, Poe actually has a decent backstory, I think, here, where I think it actually informs a lot about why Poe is always so gung-ho about being the high-risk hero. Like we find out that he was a spice smuggler. He was Han Solo. Right. Smuggling illegal drugs around, and before he joined the Resistance, like he woke up to the cause of goodness. So like, I feel like he always jumps into action and is always so reckless because he wants to prove himself as being better than he was. That's how it comes off to me, and it's not spelled out. Yeah. But I think it's really
nice character development
given to us in a way that you just think about it for a moment and you understand it.
Right.
And there's a chick there. We don't really get to know much about her. She's from his past. She was hurt over him leaving. Right. And they don't trust each other for a bit, but there's clearly something there. We really don't learn anything about her.
No.
But she gives him they find the droid code breaker, and he's like this big.
Yeah.
He's cute.
Looks like he's high.
He looks like he's high. He gets the information from 3PO's brain, but they have to do a total reset, so
so he forgets everything.
And that was legitimately an emotional moment for me. Like, he's one of the very few characters who's been through every single step of the adventure, every era, every beginning and ending. And then late in the third act, R2-D2 just re-uploads a save file, basically.
Which is nice.
It's nice. It also feels a little cheap.
It is, yeah.
But it makes perfect sense too.
Right.
R2 looks out for 3PO, and
he even said it.
He's his best friend. Yeah.
He's like, I would know who my best friend is.
Yeah, I think I would know if I had a best friend.
You want to plug into my what?
Yeah. Smash cut.
Yeah.
See, well, while they're there again, Kylo reaches out, or rather, oh God, how did he find them this time?
He saw her. She was in his quarters.
Right. But how did they get to the planet? I forgot how he followed them to that planet.
The smuggler one?
Yeah.
Because his elite force, I think, were following.
Yeah, that's right. The Knights of Ren were following and tracking them.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a real quick blink and you miss it kind of moment.
Yeah, they were in the asteroid field and they were...
and then just followed the Falcon. Yeah. So yeah. Not the Falcon.
Dead guy ship.
Yeah, the dead guy ship. Oh, God. Yeah, go there. Boom. Find... They find them there. And Rey senses that Chewie is on board Kylo's ship. She's like, oh my God, I didn't kill him. That's great.
Right. We're going to go save him.
We're going to go save him. At that moment, I was kind of thinking to myself, then what's the point of the code breaking? If they're going to save Chewie and get the dagger back.
Yeah.
And then later when they do have the dagger back and find out that it's actually more of a key and you need it, even if you knew what it said, you still needed the dagger anyway. Then I was like, what was the point of 3PO?
Right. Yeah, that seemed a little...
There was a little bit superfluous in there.
Yeah.
But that was a little bit jumbled, honestly. But they could... I see where A leads to B leads to C on that. There's a little bit of tightening of the nuts there.
Right.
So they're like, okay, we're gonna go save Chewie. They go in they manage to get on board, sneak on board using clearance disc that one of the smuggler chick had. They go in, they get Chewie. Rey's like, you guys keep going. I got some other business I got to take care of here.
Yeah.
And she finds Kylo's personal quarters. She finds Vader's helmet there. After the scene, Vader's helmet's just left there and it never comes up again.
Yeah.
I just realized that.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Cool. I thought that would have been a little bit more important.
Right.
Earlier Kylo reforged his helmet back together after smashing it in The Last Jedi.
Kind of cool.
It looked kind of cool. It was like, I think it was a great symbol for his headspace at the time where it was covered in cracks and
they welded it. It's all like red lines everywhere.
Yeah. And at one point Rey even says, I see through the cracks in your mask, and she's clearly not talking about the helmet itself. She's talking about him and his devotion to the dark side. So yeah, she's there. Kylo's like, I'm not trying to kill you. I want you by my side. Rule by my side. We'll kill Palpatine. I know who you are, he told me. He reaches out. They physically interact with one another in a whole lightsaber duel while she's in his quarters on the ship and he's on planet side.
Right.
Then finally he realizes where she is after accidentally smashing the pedestal that Vader's helmet's on.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, now I know where you are.
Right. I'll
be right up.
Right.
Like, oh, you're already in my room. That's a little forward, don't you think? So they go there. The escape attempt with Chewie is kind of thwarted as stormtroopers surround them all, and they're taken to be executed. General Hux is overwatching that whole situation. Only it turns out, hey, Hux is actually the spy. He's the traitor. Yeah. He kills the stormtroopers, gives them a gun, says, shoot me in the arm. And, Finn shoots him in the leg instead. From there, and then, later he reports to his superior, who, as it turns out, has always been working for Palpatine. He's like, they overpowered me and got away. And then that general just shot Hux and was like, well, we found our spy. That was a little sad.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't falling for the real injury gambit.
Right.
Which, smart on his part.
Yeah.
But still sad for me. And it's there that that Kylo tells Rey her actual lineage and says, yeah, your parents were nobody by choice.
Right.
They wanted to hide out because her father is the son of Palpatine, making her the granddaughter of the Emperor.
Which, the lightning comes from.
That. So, in Star Wars canon, the only characters we've seen use lightning are Palpatine and Dooku, who was directly taught by Palpatine.
Right.
And now Rey, who is his bloodline. My personal theory was that Rey was a reincarnation of the Chosen One as Anakin, and I thought there was a lot of evidence to support that. From Anakin's lightsaber being so connected to her, to her connection to Kylo, who would, be her grandson by reincarnation, ton of other things. I thought it would have been great. No, she's Palpatine's granddaughter. How did you feel about that?
Not really surprised or anything, but it wasn't super. Oh my god.
Yeah. I wasn't super surprised either. Just when Palpatine straight up said, I know who she is, I felt like he's either my theory was right, or he's telling, or she was connected to him.
Right.
I felt like that's the only direction that could go.
Yeah.
But is what it is. I can take it or leave it. It's not the most important thing to me. It's not a super big thing to me. But this definitely had a profound effect on her character. She was. A lot of people, again, dislike The Last Jedi. A lot of people say that Rey is a Mary Sue or that she's boring. I could not disagree more, in that her major flaw was believing in the legends of the Jedi and Sith so much, and feeling like she was a new hero retelling the same story. Kylo was her Vader, and she was going to redeem him, and she will be a true Jedi, and the light will balance the dark in the end, and blah, 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 blah. Like, she's not Luke Skywalker. Kylo is not Darth Vader. And that story went a very different direction. So, and you can even see in The Force Awakens, she grew up, like, venerating these legends and stories. So she jumped at the chance to be that story. And the Last Jedi challenged her perceptions on that and said, like, hey, legends ain't all they cracked up to be. Also, their story is not your story. It's a different circumstances leading people down. Like, even if it seems superficially the same, it's not actually the same underneath the skin. And here she has that, it was challenged before. Here, now it's totally flipped on the other end, and she's like, I can't be the devil's granddaughter. Let's be real, Palpatine is basically the devil analog of Star Wars.
Right.
Like, everything is completely turned on its head for her. That messed with her so much. Like, she was definitely overcome with rage, with dark side feelings. She's pushing her friends away, literally shoving them away for style. And she goes to Endor all on her own, because that's where the inscription said to go. The others kind of no, she didn't go on her own. They all landed there. She went off on her own.
Yeah.
Finn found out that there's more stormtrooper deserters than just him, which I felt was good. Like, his story arc in the first movie was learning to not be so selfish and make connections with people. His story arc in the second was learning that he was still being selfish by only looking out for him and his friends. He needed to understand there's a bigger cause, and that if you're only looking out for yourself, you're no different from war profiteers and criminals. And then here he realizes that he's not alone. He has other people that come from the same place he does. And I felt like that was a full, complete journey. She went off on her own into the Death Star remains, where the dagger led her to, found the map she needed. She's over. I mean, it was in Palpatine's throne room, so of course the place is overpowering with dark side energy, and gives her a vision of her as an evil empress.
Kind of a callback to when Luke was training.
Absolutely. And this vision's interrupted by Kylo showing up for real. He takes the navigation unit. He destroys it. Says the only way you're getting there is by my side.
Right.
They fight in probably one of the most visceral fights since Luke was overcome with rage and like thrashed Vader in that same room. And her friends try to help. She literally pushes them away. Here's where, and then here, I'm sure a lot of people probably don't like what happened here with Leia. Carrie Fisher died. There's not a lot that
kind of had to happen.
They had to work with what they had already filmed, and they had to work with stock footage and lookalikes from behind, shooting around scenes. But Leia reaches out to Kylo while he's fighting Rey, distracting him. Rey is still overcome with rage, takes his lightsaber, guts him with it. It was at that moment that I was like, no. Personally, I was all for for Kylo never having a redemption and getting killed. I think everything that he did in the two movies before showed that he's someone unlike Vader, who did horrible things, knew they were horrible, and desperately wanted to be saved, but felt like there was no way out.
Right.
I felt like Kylo absolutely did not want to be saved. This is what he chose. Damn the consequences. Damn what you think. Because at the end of the day, you can only save someone who wants to be saved.
Right.
So I was all for him dying and getting killed.
Right.
This was clearly Rey not doing it the right way.
Yeah.
She was overcome by rage. Rage. Pun. Haha. So, but yeah, she senses that Leia used so much of her energy reaching out to Kylo that she killed herself the same way Luke kind of killed himself doing the projection. She's overcome with grief at that moment, realizing what she just did, and Force heals Kylo. So that comes back, setup, payoff, and then there's a second payoff later on. She heals him, and then she leaves in his ship. Cool. Kylo has he has a nice talk, not with the ghost of Han Solo,
the actual Han
but just his memory. He's just talking to himself, but we actually have Han Solo there, like standing in, filling in what Kylo's like thinking in his head.
Right.
And they actually have a good heart-to-heart. They repeat some dialogue from Force Awakens that I felt was well done. Very heartfelt, very emotional for me. Harrison Ford did great.
Yeah.
Kylo throws his lightsaber away. Tossed it.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that moment?
It was good. Like, symbolized a lot of stuff, and it seemed like in this movie that they really weighted the whole Han Solo dying on his mind than the other movies anyway.
Yeah, they put a lot more weight on it.
Like, he's been always thinking about it, and that's what's been clouding his mind.
I mean, Luke said, just, you know, in their final confrontation in the previous movie, you know, I'll strike me down and I will always be with you. Which carries over with his father.
Right.
So yeah, that was one of the most powerful moments, I thought. I was not for Kylo redeeming himself until that scene convinced me otherwise.
Right.
And it was so good. Freaking Poe is made the new leader of the Resistance since Leia's dead. Rey she took Kylo's ship back to the first Jedi planet. She's burned the ship.
Yeah, destroyed it.
And she's like, I'm gonna exile myself here so I can never hurt anyone again.
Tries to throw her lightsaber into the fire.
Luke Skywalker's Force Ghost appears, grabs the lightsaber, the saber of his father.
Right.
Here's one thing that actually that saber was split in half in The Last Jedi when they were fighting over it with their telekinesis, and then Admiral Holdo did the hyperdrive jump through, and you know, everything got cut in half and everything was symbolized being split. When did that lightsaber get fixed?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's not something I think I needed an explanation. Like, Rey was training with Leia. Leia had a full Jedi training. She just chose not to be a Jedi after having full training.
Right.
I mean, I think between the two of them, they could have easily fixed it, but a quick throwaway line, I think, would have at least helped ease that uncertainty. But yeah, Luke's Force Ghost appears, grabs it, like, the Jedi's weapon should be treated with more respect. That was funny.
Yeah.
Like, Rey had her breakthrough. She couldn't contact Force Ghosts before, and boom, now she's got Luke. So, yeah, basically he's like, don't do what I did. I was dumb. I was wrong. All the Jedi live in you, and it's up to you, and it's your story. And yeah, Leia and I both knew who you were. We didn't give an F.
No.
No. It's that.
Change you.
Yeah, it's that whole you are who you choose to be, not where you came from situation. Which, I mean, that's a message I can always get behind in any form, anywhere. Right. Your past does not define you. Your family does not define you. Your actions and your choices define you. So he's like, you have everything that you need. And she's like, finds the star map that Kylo had in his ship in the wreckage, and hey, Luke's X-wing was still on the planet, submerged. So he's like, boom, she can take off. She goes to this planet. She gets the coordinates beamed to the Resistance, and they're like, hey, Rey came through. Let's all go. Lando and Chewie take the Falcon to go and try to get reinforcements from anywhere they possibly can.
Yeah, since they didn't have enough.
They get to the planet, and Rey goes in there, and that's where we get. So this is the moment. Here's our final act. Here's our big climaxes. This is where a lot of things start getting a lot more hokey, and some things are kind of ridiculous and dumb.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of really good moments here.
Yep.
So this is the final bit, is the part where it wibble wobbles a lot. Everything before, I want to say, I had some little grapes, but I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Right here is the point where I start being like, don't like that, don't like that, don't like that, and it's a lot more neutral.
Right.
Rey confronts Palpatine, and he's like, I never wanted you dead, which, I mean, he straight up wanted Kylo to kill her, and he had that guy try to kill her, and he did kill her parents.
Right.
So,
I don't know.
Maybe his whole thing was more along the lines of, a true Sith needs to face, life or death adversity.
Maybe.
I mean, that's definitely part of Sith code for sure. So he's like all zombified and hooked up to a big machine, keeping him, that's like moving him around.
Right.
And I gotta say, that looked ridiculous.
Yeah. Looked like some mechanical tail just puppet.
Yeah. He looked like a tiny finger puppet on a whole arm much too large for him. Right. That was dangling from the ceiling.
Right.
It's like it's trying to reach down and then like back up on him.
Just stuck up his butt.
Yep.
Just hanging there.
So like here's where we actually get a lot of some of the wham moments where Palpatine reveals that like if either way he wins, because if she kills him, his spirit will take over her body. I'm sure a lot of people have issue with that.
Yeah.
The Sith for many, for hundreds of years have had the rule of two, master and apprentice, and the apprentice shall always rise up to kill the master. This puts a new spin on it, where like the true Sith just continues to pass on. He talks about how the Sith have he is all the Sith, and all the Sith are within him, and he means it like literally. I can tell you've got more negative feelings about this than I do. Voice yourself, please.
It kind of reminds me of My Hero Academia.
The all for one, one for all. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that being in Star Wars, like the whole spirit takeover type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
She's not really trained under him, wasn't apprentice, but she's just a regular.
Yeah, but if she strikes him down in anger,
okay.
She's opened to the dark side.
Right.
And I think like that's an opening he can take.
That's really loose.
Yeah, I mean he egged Luke on to do the exact same thing. Strike me down within your anger.
Right. And then Vader took it upon himself
to intervene.
Okay, I can get that. But I don't know.
I feel like this was like picking up some breadcrumbs that didn't mean that much before and expanding on them.
Right.
And I always love like expanding on things, making them more meaningful. I feel like this does take a whole new meaning for the rule of two.
Right.
And Sith progression as a whole.
Right.
And it sure as hell puts on a whole new meaning for the powers of Darth Plagueis the Wise, who could conquer death.
Right.
It's powers that some consider to be unnatural. So, because Palpatine was not killed in anger, he was killed in defense of, Anakin's son. And that's why he didn't pass on at that moment and had to rely on coming back another way. Is how I'm taking it.
Right.
I can definitely see people getting lost on this. Like I said, this is definitely where the movie got a lot more hokey. But that's how I'm choosing to take it.
Right.
And I'm cool with it, and I like it.
Yeah.
But she's like, frick. Like, either I rule by your side, or I kill you and you become me. That's
right. Damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Damned if I do, damned if I don't. Ben Solo shows up. He's no longer Kylo. He got rid of his helmet. He got rid of his lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up. He's unarmed. The Knights of Ren.
He had a gun, I think.
Yeah, he had a blaster.
Yeah.
Which, but once he's
cool.
once he's fighting the Knights of Ren, the blaster doesn't mean anything. He's
Right.
disarmed of it. They just kind of show up and wordlessly start fighting him.
Mm-hmm.
Surround him. He's putting up a fight, but they're clearly overpowering him.
Mm-hmm.
Then, just as Rey is about to deliver a strike to Palpatine, just like he wants, their connection kicks in, and they realize we're both here. And then she does the whole, we physically interact through our vision of each other,
Right.
by passing him the lightsaber.
Yeah.
And I missed a moment earlier. Luke gave Rey Leia's lightsaber that she she abandoned when she chose to not be a Jedi.
Right. So she had two.
So she had two lightsabers. She passed off one of them to Ben.
Yeah.
The one that she gave him was Luke's saber, Anakin's saber,
Mm-hmm.
which I felt was a little strange because, I mean, I guess it kind of works, but Leia spent more time training Rey than Luke ended up training her.
Right.
So she has a connection with Leia.
Mm-hmm.
She has a connection to both that way, but
Right.
yeah. And Ben spent his whole life trying to live up to his grandfather's legacy, just in all the wrong ways.
Yeah.
So in that way, it kind of makes sense. But what if turned him back to light here was his mother reaching out to him and giving her life to make one last connection.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like maybe it would have been a little better if he had accepted his mother's lightsaber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have meant a little bit better.
Because instead of taking the lightsaber that Anakin used to kill 20 kids with.
It's fine.
There's details.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of guy who looks at all the little minor things. Like, both were a good fit, good option. I just think it would have been a little more on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, passes on the lightsaber. Rey doesn't attack Palpatine and starts fighting his elite guard in the area. And at that point, Ben just whoops the Knights of Ren's asses.
Mm-hmm.
Total 180. They don't stand a chance after that.
Mm-hmm. He
Joins her. They're about to strike the Emperor down together. As she's like, my conscience is clear. I am not, I have not given to the dark side. We're here together. And the fleet is here. They're attacking your fleet, even if it's a tiny fleet attacking giant planet killers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Palpatine just kind of bitch slaps him aside.
Yeah. It's like, come here.
Yeah.
And then life sucks him.
Yeah, he uses the drain life force power, which, again, like, we're getting expanded universe powers being used in the actual movies that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like,
pretty cool. I like that.
yeah. And he's basically like, oh, the strength of your bond has filled me with more power than any one life could.
Yeah.
And we get into the hokey again.
Yeah.
And he just force pushes Ben away, and Ben falls into a chasm.
Yeah.
And he reveals, like, he's like, I'm beyond full power. I am all the Sith. I am unlimited power style.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't go on that particular rant, but like, that's how it is.
Right.
And then he unleashes the most ridiculous force lightning ever.
He's Thor.
But Thor got nothing on this. Thor's got nothing on this. He shoots force lightning straight up into the sky and disables every single resistance ship.
That was a little hokey too, because it didn't get the the other ships.
I'm sure it was like targeted, aimed, but like when you're operating on that scale, how do you
get that minute with controls. Like, that's ridiculous.
Right?
Like, I understand maybe he had that much electricity, but yeah, you can't fucking...
No, even if he did have that much power, like, you can't... I do not buy that he could do such precision aiming on every single Resistance ship, which by this time, Lando and Chewie came back with hundreds upon hundreds of civilian ships who answered the call to help.
Right. Well, that was after.
No, that's when they're all being zapped. They came back.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I mean, we just got out of this an hour ago, so yeah, it's freaking.
Yeah, that was a little.
That was Rey is unconscious, and then Force ghosts start talking to her. We don't see them, but we hear. I did love this moment where we hear the voices of so many Jedi that from the previous movies, from the Clone Wars cartoon, from Rebels. Oh my God. I mean, yeah, obviously we had Luke, Leia reach out to her. We had Anakin reaching out. And then we had Sam Jackson for a moment there, Yoda. Obi-Wan spoke to her. Ahsoka Tano, Anakin's Padawan from the Clone Wars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I heard her voice is mixed in there.
Wow.
Which is kind of funny because that whole thing was symbolizing that all the Jedi live in her.
Right.
But Ahsoka left the Jedi during the Clone Wars, which is why she wasn't in Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
So I still like that Ahsoka was like in there because she was a Jedi for a time,
right? And
she was a better Jedi than most of the Council, to be honest.
Right.
There was like a dozen, maybe more voices that all reached out to her saying like she's not alone. Right. All the Jedi are with you.
Right.
At that moment, I thought it was because it had already gone off the rails and gone so weird. I thought what we were about to have was a whole Force Ghost army.
Right. Just appear behind her. Like Lord of the Rings with the ghost.
Yeah,
army.
Lord of the Rings style. That's what I thought was about to happen. I have never been so glad to be wrong. She just gets up and she's inspired by the Force flowing through her and fights. She pulls the lightsaber that Ben dropped and he's pushed into the chasm. She's got both lightsabers. She's fending off Palpatine's lightning, and
it's like backfiring.
It's backfiring on him the exact same way it backfired on him when he tried to use it on Mace Windu. Except, and then it completely and utterly disintegrates him into nothing.
I was kind of hoping she would like scissor his head.
Yeah, that would scissor his head the same way Anakin killed Dooku.
Right.
Yeah. And that would have actually been kind of poetic because it was Palpatine who egged Anakin on to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Do it. That would have been great.
Right. But either way.
The Palpatine's gone. The whole fleet is being destroyed because hundreds and hundreds of civilian ships answered the call. The whole Palpatine's whole temple's falling apart because the backlash of the lightning is blowing it all up. Fending off an amount of lightning that almost killed a whole fleet. Kills Rey. Yeah, she falls over, she dies.
Collapses, yeah.
Ben climbs out of the pit.
Of course.
Here's where we get the second payoff of the Force heal. The same life force she gave him before he returns to her. And then we get the moment that I hate more than any other.
Ridiculous.
I've seen many people describe Ben and Rey's relationship as like a sibling relationship.
Yeah. I can see that.
I wholeheartedly follow that. That's how I always felt.
I did not see any connection the way they...
I hate forced romantic relationships pegged on at the very end of movies.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
There was no romantic tension between them as far as I'm concerned.
No. Or that's some really dark...
You can have a powerful connection with somebody without it being romantic.
Right.
I mean, hell, that's like what the saving grace of Frozen. That's what that was. But I mean, suddenly they just kiss out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then Ben dies.
Yeah, and that was a little quick how he just disappeared.
Yeah. His body disappears. He ascends into the Force.
Yeah.
At the same time, Leia's body does this. It all
the exact same thing.
It disappears back at the Resistance base.
Mm-hmm.
She ascends into the Force.
Right.
Everyone leaves the planet. They're all happy, victorious, great. Our big ending comes with Rey going to Tatooine, to the Skywalker homeland.
Mm-hmm.
She goes to Luke's old moisture farm, buries the lightsabers of Luke and Leia at the farm.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that was a great send-off. It felt very powerful, meaningful to me.
Right.
She activates her own lightsaber that we kind of saw that she had it throughout the movie, but she never used it.
Mm.
It was made from her staff.
Yeah.
And it's gold.
Yeah, I like that.
That was awesome. Random lady comes by and she's like, "No one's been here in a very long time. Who are you?" So she's back at the festival when they're trying to find the guy's ship and his dagger. But she's being asked who she is. And Rey. Well, what Rey? Who? The first time she didn't have an answer. Now she knows her legacy. She knows who she is. She looks off across the sand dunes and she sees Luke and Leia's Force ghosts just kind of smiling upon her.
Mm-hmm.
She looks back and she says, "Rey Skywalker." Credits.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah.
Very cheesy.
Yeah.
But I think it did exactly what it needed to. It was...
And the best part of the ending, Chewie got his medal.
Chewie got his medal! Oh my... Yes! And everyone's celebrating. Chewie gets a medal.
Yep, from Leia.
Yeah, it was
Leia left it for her.
Maz Kanata got it. Was Leia gave the medal to Maz Kanata to give to Chewie.
Mm-hmm.
He finally gets his medal. About damn time.
Right.
I mean,
why didn't get it in the first place?
I just
that was funny though.
That's that best moment, whole movie, 10 out of 10. Watch it again and again and again just to see Chewie moment. Get his medal. He deserved it.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh man. So, I mean, before I can give it a definitive rating or place it amongst the other Star Wars movies as far as where I like it, I mean, I have to let it stew. We just got out of the theater.
Right.
But I mean, overall, any final thoughts?
It was a good ending.
Good ending.
Yeah.
No, I thought the ending was very good. The final couple scenes with the celebrations and with the send off.
Right.
The actual climax was by far the worst part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I wouldn't really call it bad.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. No.
It did go off the rails in ways that
mm-hmm.
were not good for it, but
still good.
Yeah. Overall, I liked the movie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people hate the sequel trilogy. I you're welcome to your opinion. I hope maybe my thoughts kind of help you think a little differently. If not, that's okay. Everyone likes different things for different reasons.
Right.
I love the sequel trilogy. It's better than the prequel trilogy by leaps and bounds, and I still like the prequel trilogy, even if I like it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And I still think the sequel trilogy is better than Return of the Jedi. So, no, I like this movie very much. Don't know if I'll go so far as to say I loved it until I've really slept on it.
Right.
But definitely good.
Yeah.
I like it. The sequel trilogy, I will say, would have benefited from a roadmap. They've said multiple times, and it's very clear just by watching it, that every movie was made separately without any forethought into where things were going to go. The directors said as much, the executives have said as much. It's apparent that how vastly different they all are in tone, in apparent planning, the themes. So as a trilogy, I would say that these movies miss a lot of notes, and they don't tie how they needed to tie together.
Yeah.
Separately, individually, I like every one of them. Those are my final thoughts. Any last tidbits?
I'm just glad Chewie got his medal.
That is a wonderful Wookiee.
Yep.
Oh god, the early scene when Chewie was playing that holographic chess with Poe and Finn were trying to play together against Chewie. They're like, "You keep winning. You have to be cheating. You gotta be cheating." Okay, no, we get it. You're not. Of course, you're not cheating. You're 250 years old. Of course, you're better at this than us. And Chewie walks away. He's definitely cheating.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
It's like, don't turn it off.
Oh, that was Chewie was good. Oh god, I was so heartbroken over Chewie.
Yeah.
He lost all of his oldest and best friends.
Yeah, it was sad seeing him react to Leia dying.
And to think, the very first thing she ever said to him was, "And can someone get this walking carpet out of my way?" Chewie was great. Lando was great. Not in it as much as I wanted. I get the feeling there's probably a lot more scenes of with them recruiting their reinforcements that probably wound up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, possibly.
It was already a long movie. Yeah, Lando great, but needed more. Chewie great, needed more. Rey, fantastic. Everything came to a head. Awesome. Poe,
more
character development, more information on his backstory. Would have liked to have him stuck the landing a little bit better, but otherwise, yeah. Finn, great, not as perfect as Rey, but great overall. The whole the Skywalker lineage, how it's ended here.
C-3PO was awesome.
C-3PO was awesome, best form. R2 was barely there.
Yeah.
But no, so there's going to be more trilogies. They've said as much, but they've also said that the Skywalker saga is done, and I am glad. I wouldn't want any more Skywalker saga.
Yeah, I'd like something new. It's
a big galaxy. There's a lot going on out there.
A lot of history too.
There's unknown regions to explore. Yeah, there's Old Republic era. There's pre-Republic era. There's a lot in the Empire era.
Thousands of years.
So I will be very happy to see what they come up with. I always like more Star Wars, but I am glad the Skywalker saga is done, and I think it did end off on a good note. So this outro has been going on for too long, so about 10 minutes or so. So I think that's everything that we want to say. thank you very much for watching, sticking through for an hour and 20 minutes if you made it this far.
Right.
If you did, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And hope that you enjoyed the movie as much as I did. If you didn't, that's fine too.
Yeah.
I want you to go ahead, comment below on what you thought, and I don't want anything turned into an argument. Don't be overly negative, but if you have disagreements, feel free to voice them.
Yeah.
And have a wonderful rest of your day. And of course, as always, I can't let this go without a big cheer. Hell yeah!